One more time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Where is it coming from?
My knowledge.
Okay. The Congress. Salam alaikum, Shabab, at the corner. Okay, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala. I have a deal. If you are talking, I will be quiet. MashaAllah. Yeah, she just got them. So, before we start, I would like to ask, remind me your names. Who's who? One of you will come at the beginning and the other one will come at the end. Okay, so you will come at the beginning. So you will read us a short few, 3 ayahs or so, inshallah, before we start, okay? Tell us your name and where are you from and which grade are you in, okay? That's good. Let me see. That's good. Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Tell us your name and where are you from.
My name is Ori, and I am from Afghanistan.
MashaAllah. Which grade are you in? Second, mashallah. So read us a few ayahs, inshallah.
سعيد من الشيطان.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والقلم وما يسطرون. ما أنت بنعمة ربك بمجنون. وإن لك لأجرا غير ممنون. وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم. فستبصر ويبصرون بأيكم المفتون. صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khair. Give him a good takbir. Takbir, please. So I will introduce the Sheikh in Arabic and then inshallah I will change the channel to English. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلي وسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. صالة عن نفسي شيخنا ونيابة عن الجالية المسلمة في إنديانابوليس، تحديدا في مؤسسة شرف وفخر عظيم لي أن أستضيف أخا وشيخا وابن شيخ. ولقد تعرفت على أبيه قبل أن أتعرف عليه، لأن أباه داعية تجول في بقاع إفريقيا، في أصقاع إفريقيا، ثم بعد ذلك ما ترك إفريقيا بل انتقل إلى أوروبا، ثم جاء إلى أمريكا يدعو الجاليات المسلمة ويذكرهم بدينهم وأمور الشريعة. وشيخ عبد الحميد سمي على شيخ عبد الحميد كشك. ما منكم يعرف عن الشيخ عبد الحميد كشك؟ يعني العرب تقول لكل امرئ من اسمه نصيب، وفعلا قد أخذ نصيبا من الشيخ الذي سمي باسمه شيخ عبد الحميد كشك، وهو علم من أعلام العالم الإسلامي، رجل فذ فريد في الخطابة والدعوة والشجاعة والبلاغة، وتوفي ساجدا لمن لا يعرفه، وهذا دليل للإخلاص. أسأل الله عز وجل أن يجعله ويبوئه مقعد صدق في جنات ونهر. الشيخ عبد الحميد كشك بشير يندو من غانا، وينحدر من أصول نيجيرية، ليست نيجيرية، فرق بين النيجر ونيجيريا، من أصول نيجيرية، وتحصل على البكالوريوس الأول في التربية والتعليم، ثم بعد ذلك من غانا، ثم حصل على بكالوريوس في الدعوة وأصول في أصول الدين في الجامعة الإسلامية بالنيجر. الجامعة الإسلامية بالنيجر هي ثالث جامعة أسستها منظمة المؤتمر الإسلامي. لمن لا يعرف منظمة المؤتمر الإسلامي هي بمثابة الأمم المتحدة في العالم. فهذه منظمة المؤتمر الإسلامي ومقرها، أو الآن التعاون الإسلامي ومقرها في جدة، حوالي 50 دولة إسلامية، وأيضا غير أغلبية مسلمة. وثم بعد ذلك تحصل على درجة الماجستير في نفس التخصص أصول الدين في نفس الجامعة، ثم بعد ذلك التحق بجامعة الوفاق لتحضير الدكتوراه في تخصص التفسير والحديث. وشيخنا هذه ليست المرة الأولى التي يزور فيها إنديانا، لقد زارنا في عام 1919 قبيل كوفيد، ويأتي كل سنة تقريبا إلى الولايات المتحدة، يتجول في ولاياتها ويلتقي بالجاليات المسلمة، يلقي خطب الجمعة وكذلك يلقي المحاضرات على أثر أبيه. ويشرفنا أن نستضيفه اليوم، وقد خطب اليوم حول الصمود على الدين، ومحاضرته ستكون حول القرآن الدليل الإلهي. Switch channel. So our Sheikh Abdul Hamid Kishk, he's from Ghana, descendant of Nigerian family, not Nigerian family. So please know the difference. Nigeria. His father is originally from Niger. He earned his bachelor's degree in education, the first bachelor's degree in education. The second bachelor is in the Foundation of Islam in the Islamic University of Niger, the same university that I graduated from. And it is one of the 3 international universities that were founded by OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference. Yeah. And for many of you who do not know what OIC is, how many of you know UN, United Nations? United Nations, yes, you know United Nations. So OIC is like the United Nations for the Muslim countries. And then actually he pursued a master's degree in the same field, and alhamdulillah he successfully finished his master's. And then now he's preparing his PhD in Tafsir and Hadith in the University of Wifaq in the Republic of Niger. He was named after Sheikh Kishk, and Sheikh Kishk is an Egyptian sheikh who is really, he's alone. Nobody actually was like him or has been like him. And subhanAllah, he's known for his audacity and his the power of his speeches and khutbahs. And he died, and he was blind. SubhanAllah. This just shows you how much blessing, by Allah taking his sight, how much blessing that Allah Azza wa Jalla blessed him with. And Sheikh Abdul Hamid Kishk, his father also is a da'i, he's a preacher, who used to come actually to Indiana. He's well known in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, and then he's well known in Europe as well, and also in the US. The last time he was in Indiana about 5 years ago. He gave the khutbah today about steadfastness in the deen, and today the lecture will be about the Quran, the divine manual, or the divine manual. And I just wanted to, just before I hand over to the Sheikh, I wanted to thank a group of people. If you look at the Masjid today, please, parents, look at the Masjid. Look in the Masjid. Look back. Who's the majority here? You. What did you say, Anis? The majority who you see here are youth. And I wanted to give credit first to the parents who trusted us with their children. Second, I wanted to thank the counselors who have been dedicated. When I was away for almost 8 weeks, they continued the program that never stopped. This is the first program ever that I started, but it never stopped just because I'm not here. Even when both Amir and I were not here, it continued. And you know what the surprise is? The surprise is? You know what the surprise is? No, my friend Riyad. The surprise is the number increased so much compared to when I was here. So that means you guys don't like me. And I'm going back overseas, okay? No, aside jokes, but I'm very proud of our counselors, and I'm proud of our youth actually who are attending. I'm sure you are kept telling, look, sisters, you gotta be proud of yourselves. Wallahi, we had never done a program where sisters, even one sister existed. So for years, it has only been boys.
Don't jinx it.
It looks like the masjid is only boys' masjid. But today, I really look and see this many sisters are in the masjid, mashallah. Islam is in good hands.
Should we go home now, the old ones?
No, I'm Ali. No. So I wanted to thank, no. These are our children. We have to all be proud of them. So I wanted to let you know how proud I am, for being consistent, and not only being consistent, by being, a voice of guidance for your friends who never came to the masjid or to the haram list. So keep up the good work, okay? You promise? Inshallah. Counselors, last, raise your hand. Whoever is counselor, you can raise your hand.
Yeah.
May Allah reward you and bless you, okay? So with that, inshallah, I will hand the mic. I will hand the microphone over to Sheikh Abdul Hamid, inshallah, and we will start the lecture. So please, I just praise you to bribe you, okay? So please listen so you don't mess up the praise. So we'll listen now to the Sheikh, inshallah, and make sure you ask follow-up questions. Jazakumullah khair.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي هدى بكتابه القلوب وأنزله في أوجز لفظ وأعجب أسلوب فأعيت بلاغته البلغاء وأبكمت فصاحته الفصحاء فهو الحجة البالغة والدلالة الدامغة والنعمة الباقية والعصمة الواقعة وهو شفاء للصدور وحكم العدل فيما أحكم وتشابه من الأمور وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And thank you very, very much again, once again. I wouldn't want to take much of our time. When I look into the masjid, I'm confused. The reason being, I see a lot of young people, and I'm tempted to change my topic.
No, there are old people too.
But then, I'm very passionate about the youth because I'm also a young person. And I believe that the success of the Ummah lies on two main things. Any community that really wants to develop must take care of two things: the experience, the knowledge of the old folks, and then the power and the energy of the young ones. You can never do away with one of these two. And these two are like twins. They move together. And this is how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ built the Ummah. When we say that we don't need the experience of the older ones, of the fathers and the mothers, it's like a body without a head. It can't go anywhere. Same way, if you say we don't need the energy of the young ones, it's like a body without legs. It can't go anywhere. So we need to blend the two. Here, our fathers are here. My younger ones are also here. The older ones, the younger ones, we need to understand the importance. Wallahi, there is what an old man will see while sitting on his chair, a young man can never see, even if he climbs the tall iroko tree. So the older ones are very, very important in our community. So wallahi, let's give them that respect. Let's appreciate them. Let's obey them. Let's listen to them. We might them, but then that respect, wallahi, should always be there. There's also another old Chinese proverb that says, those who drink water shouldn't forget those who dug the well. So those of us who are young people, that we have this environment, we have this atmosphere, let's not forget the older ones who set the pace for us. In doing so, we'll also have a brighter future. If you don't call your father daddy, your kids will also not call you daddy. Father, daddy, your kids will not call you daddy. You don't get it right? Let me explain. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was having problems with his father. But then he always called him Ya Abati, my father, oh my father. When Ibrahim also gave birth to Ismail, his son also said, Ya Abati fa'al ma tu'mar. So if you don't give that respect to the elderly, don't expect it to be given to you. So just by the way. Our topic for discussion is the Quran, the Divine Manual. And it might take us days if we really want to exhaust this topic. Because it's not something that we can discuss in a sitting and then do justice to the topic. I want to start with an analogy. When you buy a new phone, it always comes in a box. When you open the box, what do you see first? You don't see the phone first. You see a paper. And they tell you, if you want to operate this machine, read this manual completely. Who has ever read the manual completely? No, you don't read the manual completely. You're only interested in just switching the phone on. The manual helps you to be able to really understand what machine or what gadget you have. And if you don't read the manual properly, you have problems in what? In using the phone. Okay, let's say for example, you bought the phone and then the manual is in Chinese. And then you don't understand Chinese. What happens? You need to find someone who understands Chinese and then it translates to you the message that the manual comes with. Let's have this at the back of our mind. And all these companies who are producing all these gadgets have field agents, right? That help you when you have problems with the gadgets. When Almighty Allah created us, He gave us a manual, which is the Quran. So same way with the phone, if you really want to work with the phone efficiently, you need to read the manual completely. Same way, if you want to efficiently use this body, you need to read the manual completely. And Almighty Allah sent us field agents to explain to us some technicalities in the manual. And the field agent, the number one, is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was sent to some technicalities when it comes to the manual. The scholars are saying Al-Quran Kalamullah al-Mu'jiz Al-Munazzal ala Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam Al-Muta'abbadu bi tilawatihi Al-Mutahadda bi aqsar suratin minhu Al-Manqulu ilayna bi tariqati al-tawatir Al-Maktubu fi al-Masahif min al-Surati al-Fatiha ila al-Nas. Kalamullah, the words of the Almighty Allah. And this statement, the words of the Almighty Allah, has generated a lot of controversy, I think, in the 3rd to the 4th century Hijrah, where the Mu'tazila and the Ibadiyya and other groups were like, Al-Quran makhluq, Quran is a creation. And Imam Ahmad with him, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, are like, no, that is a wrong statement. We are not going to go into that because it's academic, it's only found in books. And Alhamdulillah, I don't think we have any group of people who now, who profess that ideology. But when we say Kalamullah, the words of the Almighty Allah, does the Almighty Allah speak? According to Aqidat Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the Almighty Allah speaks. But then, how does He do that? In what ways? That's His business. It's none of our concern. Because we are programmed in the way to accept some of these things the same way the Sahaba radiallahu anhu didn't question whether the Almighty Allah is how He speaks or not. And this is more in the field of Aqidah and Kalam, and there's a lot of talk there that I don't want us to have too much statement on that. Kalamullah is the word of the Almighty Allah. Al-Mu'jiz, it's a miracle. The Quran is a miracle. There is no book on the surface of the earth today which is 1500 years old, which is not changed, unalterated, unedited, unmodified, memorized by millions of people in the world except the Quran. There's no book like that. If you know of any book like that, present it. And this is a challenge we give to the whole world. If you have a book that is 15 centuries old, that is the same as it is throughout history, and that millions have memorized it from cover to cover, let's have a copy of it. We can have a Chinese Muslim who doesn't understand anything except Chinese, but he's memorized the Quran. We can have an African Muslim who doesn't understand anything except maybe Hausa or Fulani or Zampa. And then we can come to America and then pick a white Muslim, and you bring all of them together, and this guy starts reading the Quran. He stops at a point. This guy doesn't need any notice. He picks it up, and then he continues. That's the miracle of the Quran. All the other prophets, including the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, had miracles. But then those miracles were for the people of the time, for them to see. We were not there when Musa split the ocean. We were not there. We were not there when Noah had the boat. We were not there. We were not there when Isa alayhi salatu wasalam raised the dead. We were not there. These were miracles for the people of the time, for them to see. But the eternal miracle for the whole of humanity is the Quran, where every generation that has come will always go back to the Quran. No matter how well you do your tafsir, no matter how educated you are in the field of tafsir, in the Quran is there like that. You cannot have any changes, you cannot have any modifications in the Quran. Al-Munazzal ala Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which is revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Al-Muta'abbadu bi tilawati, reading the Quran is a form of worship. The Quran was also used as a challenge to the people, and it was revealed to us in a tawatur, which is generations upon generations have narrated or transmitted the Quran to us without any change. In a nutshell, this is what the Quran is. That's the definition of the Quran. As we all know, it has 30 chapters, 30 surahs. We have 114 chapters in the Quran. We have 6,236 verses of the Quran according to Kufiyin, and then we have 6,666 verses according to another group of people. Al-Awamir alfu ayah, Al-Nawahi alfu ayah, Al-Wa'du alfu ayah, Al-Wa'idu alfu ayah, Al-Qisas wal-Akhbar alfu ayah, Al-Ibar wal-Amthal alfu ayah, Al-Halal wal-Haram 500 ayah, Al-Du'a'u 100 ayah, Al-Nasikh wal-Mansukh 66 ayah. The Hafiz is trying to put them together. So 6,666 verses. This is the Quran. There is no difference of opinion between scholars as to the first verse to be revealed in the Quran, which you all know. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Whether there's a difference of opinion concerning which is the last verse. Some of the scholars are saying, that's the last verse, even though that's a very big opinion, because that verse was revealed on the Mount of Arafah 3 months before the death of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But then the strongest opinion is وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. That verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 283, where the Almighty Allah speaks about death Ibn Abbas says this verse was revealed 9 days before the Prophet Muhammad died. So in a nutshell, this is just something about the Quran in terms of, its definition. But what's the relationship we have with the Quran? This is my main message today. How does the Quran become a divine manual for us? How does the Quran have an effect or a change in our life? The first one is as-sima', listening to the Quran. It's very, very important. We live in an age whereby all forms of ideologies are being pushed out there. All forms of things are being recorded and then put onto the internet just to draw our attention and then pull our minds. What is the relationship you have with the Quran in terms of listening to the Quran? Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu says, "Utlub qalbaka fi thalathati mawaqi." Look for your heart in 3 places. عند سماع القرآن. When the Quran is being recited, look for your heart there. وفي حلقات الذكر. When people are doing dhikr, the circles of dhikr, look for your heart there. وفي الخلوة. When you are alone, also look for your heart there. If you don't find your heart in these 3 places, فَسَلِ اللَّهَ أَن يَمُدَّ عَلَيْكَ بِقَلْبٍ فَإِنَّهُ لَا قَلْبَ لَكَ. If you cannot find your heart in these 3 places, what we mean is that when the Quran is being recited, and then you don't feel anything in your heart, you don't feel any vibration in your soul, you don't feel anything, pushing you and touching you and changing your mood, and the Quran is being read, then you need to have a self-check. If this Quran was revealed on stone, لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. If this Quran were to be revealed on a stone, you find out that the stone is breaking up and disintegrating. When the Quran is being read to us, what do we feel? When someone is reading the Quran, what's the reaction we have with the Quran? It's very, very important. Uthman radiallahu anhu says, "Wallahi law tahurat qulubuna ma shabi'na min kalam rabbina." He said, if our hearts were really clean, we will never be satisfied with listening to the word of the Almighty Allah. What reaction do you have if someone you love sends you a letter? You read the letter almost every day. What then is your reaction? You listen to it as the way you listen to music. Sometimes you find young Muslims have their AirPods or their earpieces, and then they are walking on the street and then they are shaking their heads, and then you don't know, you want to ask what is he doing, and he's listening to someone. He's listening to Jay-Z, he's listening to Drake, he's listening to Eminem, or she's listening to Beyonce. You're surprised? And that's it. That's the craze of the age. That the Muslims now, we invest more in entertainment than we do in Quran. If I'm a young Muslimah, she is going to post a status on WhatsApp or on TikTok. She's in a full hijab, and then there's music at the background, and then she's shaking her head and then pushing her lips and then wriggling around. And the young guy too, the Muslim, he wants to post something on Facebook, his status on Twitter or Snapchat, and then he's like, yeah. That's the craze of the age. But as a Muslim, that shouldn't be your way. That shouldn't be the path that you follow. You have a different identity. You have a different purpose to life. Listen to the Quran. Let it be your companion. When you're driving, it should be the Quran. When you are at home, it should be the Quran. Wherever you go, it should be the Quran. That's it. You are not here in the dunya to play. You're not here to have just merrymaking like other people. Yes, there is fun in Islam. We are not saying the religion is rigid and there is no flexibility, there is no fun. There is fun in Islam. But then the fun in Islam comes with its own rules and regulations. We cannot just get up and do things anyhow because some people are doing them. No. You need to have a clear-cut objective as to how you spend your time. Listen to the Quran. All these entertainers and all these people in Hollywood or in showbiz do not care about you. They just want to make their money. And then understand one thing. The Quran and music cannot stay. One will definitely push one outside. So which one are you? Is it the Quran that is going to stay and the music leaves? Or the music stays and then the Quran leaves? I think it's... And whatever you live upon, you die upon it. Or whatever situation you die upon, you're going to be resurrected on the day of Qiyamah. Will you want to be resurrected on the day of Qiyamah, shaking your head, dancing? I don't think we all want that. So our first mu'amala, or our first relationship with the Quran is listening to it. I'm not saying hearing the Quran, it's listening. There's a difference between hearing and listening. The noise and the sound. When you listen to something, you pay attention to whatever is being said. So pay attention to it. Utbah ibn Rabi'a Abu Walid went to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, Ya Muhammad, I've come with a proposition. You've been disturbing us in Makkah for some time with all these statements. I've brought a proposition. If it is money that you want, we'll gather all the money and make you the richest person in Makkah. If you just want to be the leader, we'll make you our king. If it is a woman that you've seen, that is why you're disturbing us, let us know. We'll find a way of marrying you to her. And if you are sick up here too, let us know. We'll find the best doctors and then you get healed. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Oh, ma faraqta ya Abul Walid." Are you done? He said, "Yes." He said, "Listen." And then he read to him Surah Al-Fussilat. When he finished, he said, "Al samita ya Abul Walid, have you heard me?" He said, "Yes." Abul Walid went back to the people of Makkah. When he was coming back, they looked at him from afar and they said, "No." They asked them why. He said, "Look at him. When he was living here, he was very, very confident. He's coming back as if rain has beaten the chicken." And then he told them, "Ya Nas, Isma'uli, listen to me. And if there's anybody you want to blame, blame me. لَقَدْ سَمِعْتُ مِنْ مُحَمَّدٍ قَوْلًا آنِفًا." I've just heard from Muhammad a statement, مَا هُوَ بِشِعْرٍ. It is not poetry. And this statement that I've heard from Muhammad has a great future. إِنْ يَظْهَرَ عَلَى الْعَرَبِ فَمُلْكُهُ مُلْكُكُمْ وَعِزُّهُ عِزُّكُمْ. If Muhammad is able to overpower the Arabs, then understand that his power and his dominion will also be yours. But then if the Arabs overpower him, they've done a job for you that you're willing to do. So dawar rajula wa ma huwa fihi. Leave this man alone. Just listening to the Quran has given Utbah ibn Rabi'a a change of mind, a change of perspective concerning Islam and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The second level is at-tilawa, reading the Quran, reciting the Quran. I want to say this. If you are here, or if you are listening to us or watching to us, and you speak English language fluently, you've gone to study French, you've studied Portuguese, some of you are now studying Russian and Spanish, and others who are studying Turkish. Some of you go to night school to make your grades better. If you go through all this and you cannot learn to read the Quran, you have a problem on the day of Qiyamah. Let me repeat. If you have time to study all manner of things, but then you don't have time to study how to read the Quran, prepare your answering notes for Qiyamah in front of the Almighty Allah. I'm not scaring you. I'm only throwing a challenge at you. Some people come from some countries to America, they can't speak English, but then they learn English because they want to pass the citizenship test. True or false? True. They spend hours learning the English language because no, they must get that green card, they must get that citizenship, but they don't bother to learn how to read the Quran. What will you tell the Almighty Allah on the day of Qiyamah? I learned Spanish, I learned French, I learned this, I went to night school, I tried this, so I upgrade my grades, I do this because I want to get that high job, I want to get that good position, I want to get the salary raise. But then the book of the Almighty Allah, the message of the Almighty Allah, you never bothered to learn how to read it. Some people will go back to college, night school, adult class, Why? Because they want to make it in the dunya. I'm not saying that's haram. That's not what I'm saying. Go and learn that. But then, make sure you prepare a very convincing answer for the Almighty Allah on the day of Qiyamah if you're not learning the Quran. And young people that you are listening to us here, yes, Alhamdulillah, you've come to join, groups like this, communities like this where you learn the deen. Please put in much effort. Don't make this a social group or a social club where you just come to pass time or to meet your girls or to meet your boys. This is not a high five club. No, it's a serious organization. It's a serious group that will hold your hands to lead you to Jannah. And you don't come here just to come and just pass time or have good time. No, you should come here with a purpose. Have a deliberate, conscious effort that this group that I've joined, I can't read the Quran fluently, but I'll try as much as possible. At least within a year, I'll be able to read the Quran fluently. Then the next time, I'll be able to memorize the Quran. But you come and join sometimes on your phones. You're doing your TikToking, you're doing your Snapchatting, you're doing your Facebooking, and what is going on that is very, very important, we don't have time for, we don't listen to. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man qara'a harfan min kitabillah." Anybody who reads a letter in the word of the Almighty Allah, فَلَهُ بِهَا حَسَنًا, he is going to be rewarded. He's going to be rewarded 10 for each one, for each letter. لا أقول لكم ألف لام حرف ولكن ألف حرف ولام حرف وميم حرف. When I say ألف لام ميم, that is not a harf. Alif alone is a harf, lam is a harf, and mim is a harf. When you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, according to this hadith, how many reward do you get? Can anybody help us? How many letters are in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim?
Isn't it 19?
That's 19. So we have 19 letters in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So when you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it's 190. Free, given to you by the Almighty Allah. So imagine reading the whole Quran, 6,666 verses of the Quran. Aisha radiallahu anha said, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, anybody who reads the Quran, وَهُوَ مَاهِرٌ بِهِ مَعَ الصَّفْوَةِ الْكِرَامِ الْبَرَرَةِ, anybody who is very good at the Quran, especially like the Imam who led us the prayer today, very beautiful, very, very beautiful reciter. And Almighty Allah grant him success in this dunya and the akhirah. He is going to be with the angels on the day of Qiyamah. وَمَنْ يَقْرَأَ الْقُرْآنَ عَلَيْهِ شَاقٌ فَلَهُ أَجْرَانِ. But anybody who reads the Quran, but then he finds trouble, he finds it difficult, his trying is very, very difficult. Some of the alphabets in Arabic language are tongue twisters. If you don't take time, sometimes you bite your tongue. He's trying as much as possible. فَلَهُ أَجْرَانِ. He is going to be rewarded double. So reading the Quran, wallahi, is the best for us. The relationship you must have with the Quran. The same way you have time on your phone. You've had, screen 4 hours in the day, it's 12% up last week, and then if you watch, Facebook takes 90% of your time, Twitter takes this time of your time, this percentage of your time, this percentage of your time, and then you have the Quran on your phone, but then it's just 1%. Sometimes it's 0. It doesn't help. Wallahi, as a Muslim, this is your manual. This is your companion. I remember when we were growing up back home in Africa, you always have a pocket Quran with you. You always did. You have a pocket Quran. Now the phones have come to be rivals to the Quran. I have Quran on my phone. I don't feel satisfied reading the Quran on my phone as well as I do when I pick the Mus'haf. The Mus'haf has more barakah in it than the phone. So in my muraja, in my hifz, I can't use the phone. It doesn't feel like reading the Quran. I need to touch the paper. When I touch the paper, sometimes I feel like I'm feeling the letters, touching them. Have that. And now, alhamdulillah, we have Qurans in ajza. Some of them small in one juzu. It's very small. It can fit into your pocket. Have that. And even if you don't have the time to do that, when you are driving, some of you have the latest cars that have screens on them, then you can download some of these stuff in there, and then you're driving, then you're reading. But anyway, be careful. For that. Listening. So, on your free time, wallahi, read the Quran. We don't have any excuse of not reading the Quran. Some of us read all kinds of novels, love novels, romantic novels, magazines. The women want to go for food magazines where she wants to see all different types of recipes to cook all different kinds of food. I'm not saying it's haram. She wants to see the latest fashion magazine. It's not haram so long as all those things are halal. But then also give the Quran that time, that attention. Give it to the Quran. And one of the most beautiful narrated to us from Abdullah ibn Amr, where the Prophet Muhammad says, يُقَالُ لِقَارِئِ الْقُرْآنِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ اقْرَأْ وَارْتَقِي وَرَتِّلْ كَمَا كُنْتَ تُرَتِّلْ فِي الدُّنْيا. What do you want apart from this? That whoever reads the Quran on the day of Qiyamah, you will be told, read, elevate yourself, recite the same way you used to recite in the dunya. فإن منزلتك عند آخر آية تقرأها. Your final station in Jannah is the last verse you're going to read. Excuse me. Majority or jumhur of the ulama are saying, some of the scholars are saying this is specific for those who memorize the Quran. But then the jumhur said no. Do not, limit the mercies of the Almighty Allah. It's also those who also read the Quran regularly, even though they might not have memorized the Quran. That you wake up on the day of Qiyamah, you are amongst those who read the Quran. The Almighty Allah is going to let you read. And then the last point in Jannah that you're going to stay at is the last verse you're going to read on the day of Qiyamah. Even if you don't read the Quran, if you have a child, like a young man who read the Quran, and then Rayyan Yahun was, the number of letters in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
19.
On the day of Qiyamah, their parents, because their kids learned. As a father, that you are here, you're busy. Families, but then make sure that the family also is Quran oriented. Sometimes you meet some families, young kids in the house, 1-year-olds or 2-year-olds who have started talking and speaking. All you hear is La ilaha illallah, Allah Akbar, La ilaha illallah, because that's what is going on in the house. But then other kids, subhanAllah, you hear something else. I don't want to say anything. Because that is what is going on in the house. Swear words, curse words, because that is what is going on in the house. That is your language. Any knowledge that is groomed in youthful age is like a carving in stone. So if you want blessing in your house, some time ago, we were having this discussion that American kids are stubborn. If you want your kids, to have, a better upbringing, it's within the African community. If you want your kids to have, a better upbringing, you send them back home to Africa. I said, no, I don't believe in that. And this masjid proves to be right. That we have young people here in the masjid. We have hufaz here who are born here. If you as a parent, you are conscious about the nurturing of your kids, they will turn out good. But if you're not interested about the nurturing of the kids, you're only interested in amassing the dollars for them. You amass the dollars for them, and then they will misuse it when you die. Have a deliberate, conscious effort as a parent to imbibe in your kids the Islamic identity. If not for anything, for the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, إِذَا مَاتَ ابْنُ آدَمْ انْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثٍ. Are cut off except 3 things, and amongst them he said, أَوْوَلَدٌ صَالِحٌ يَدْعُو لَهُ. Or you leave behind a pious child who remembers you and then he prays for you. If you raise your kids in the house with music, they will even dance at your funeral. That's what they're going to do. Because that's what you nurture them upon. Nurture your family on reading of the Quran. Have halaqah in the house of reading the Quran. Wallahi, the Almighty Allah is going to bless you. Uthman, man ta'allama al-Quran wa one who has learned the Quran and then he's teaching others the Quran. So our second relationship with the Quran is what? Is reading the Quran and reciting the Quran. The third one is at-tadabbur. That is what? Pondering over the Quran. It's not about no. It's about listening. And then the message when it comes, ponder over it. Sometimes you might not even understand Arabic. It's true. But then when you keep quiet and then you listen, sometimes you feel the message in your heart. And let's say one thing. I am a student of knowledge. I'm pursuing a PhD in tafsir and hadith. It's not every message in the Quran that I understand. That's a fact. And most of it are not. I'll have to go back to the kutub of tafsir to look for the meaning. Sometimes some words in the Quran, you look at it, even Abu Bakr Siddiq and even Umar bin Khattab, وَفَاكِهَةً وَأَبَّا. And Umar said, Al-Fakiha na'rifuha. Abba, what does it mean? He said, Umar, هذا من التكلف. Umar, this is just disturbing. The Almighty Allah says, فَاكِهَةً وَأَبَّا. Let's leave it like that. So even the Sahaba sometimes understand some of the words. They need to go back to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ for explanation. So nobody has a monopoly of knowledge when it comes to Islam. None has. So at-tadabbur, which is what? Pondering over the message of the Quran. And understand one thing, is the words of the Almighty Allah. So definitely it's going to be heavy. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. The Quran has been made easy for us in terms of recital. But then فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Is there anybody who is going to sit and ponder and reflect and think deep over the verses of the Quran? This is the level where Muslim you must be at. Pondering over the message of the Quran. Thinking deep over what the Almighty Allah is presenting to us. It's not only enjoying Abdurrahman Sudais or enjoying Shuraib. No. It's about trying to absorb the message. Trying to have a connection with the message. Trying to go back to the translations, if you know, is Al-Amalu wa implementing what the Quran teaches us. And I believe this is a very, very important juncture in this lecture today. For the Quran to be a divine manual for us, we need to implement the message of the Quran. You don't say you are a Muslim, but then the Quran doesn't have any influence in your life. Before Maghrib, I was discussing something with my other. There is no section of human endeavor that the Quran doesn't have something to say about it. Every aspect of human life, Islam covers it. Even the Jews in Medina used to teach the Sahaba that you Sahaba, Muhammad teaches you everything, even how to go to toilet, Muhammad teaches you. That is how deep the religion is. Every human endeavor. Look at the pandemic that we had. Islam has spoken about pandemics and how we're going to deal with it. Look at the changes that we have in our times. You go to the northern part, those North Pole side where they have longer days and shorter days and that. And Islam has something to say about it. That's how to go to the toilet. And you think Islam is going to, doesn't. Islam teaches us how to sneeze. Yes. When you do head chain, what do you say? Alhamdulillah. You think Islam will teach us this, but then Islam will forget to teach us how to raise our kids? We have the best system that the world has ever seen. We shed light to the world. The Muslims ruled the known world for 1,000 years. From the mountains of Siberia in the north to the Indian Ocean in the south. From the mountains of Mongolia in the east to the shores of Portugal in the west. We taught the Europeans what soap is. We taught them what perfume is. We gave them street lights. We taught them what having a private toilet in your room is like. They didn't have that. You know ancient Rome, they had public toilets where you sit face to face with people. We taught them that. So young people, young Muslims, that you find yourself now in crisis, where you're asking questions that, why is it retrogressing? Why is that the Muslim world is not as advanced as, all these Western countries? Why is it so? You are asking the right questions. But the problem is not with Islam. The problem is that we Muslims have slept, and in that sleep we are dreaming, in that dream we are dreaming, and in that dream we've dreamt again. That is why we are here today. That is why we find ourselves in this position. And Alhamdulillah, we have the opportunity to bring her back to her days of glory. Young people that you're listening to us, the Quran is the compass. It's the guide for us. All of us cannot be shuyukh on the minbar every Friday, but all of us have specific pulpits in the different fields that we find ourselves in, delivering the message of Islam. This is the challenge I throw to you today. Alhamdulillah, we have this number. And I know you have the passion in you. You have the jealousy in you of Islam. You want to see the Muslim Ummah do better. That is why you are here. You are concerned. You are disturbed about what the propaganda is. You're concerned about the negative reportage in the media. You want to project Islam in the right way. Yes, you want to do that. But then, we must do it the right way. Yes, we must be activists spreading Islam, empowering the Muslim Ummah. But then we need to do it according to Kitab wa Sunnah. It's very, very important. Finally, or even on this point, is enough for me. Let's have the manifestation of the Quran in our lives. In our day-to-day activities, in our lives, in our marriages. It's very, very important. Between husband and wife, how well is the Quran manifested in our marriages? In the nurturing of the young ones, how well is the Quran manifested in the nurturing of the young ones? It's very, very important. In our businesses, in our relationship with non-Muslims, how well is the Quran manifest? I read something on Facebook, Allah Alam, I don't know if it is true, that a new imam, came into the community in the Masjid, and then one day he boarded a bus, and then the driver gave him extra change more than he was entitled to. So he sat in the bus, and then he realized that, no, this driver has given me maybe a quarter more or half a dollar more. So he was contemplating, should I give it back to him? Should I keep it? Should I give it back? Should I keep it? Should I give it back? Should I stop? Where he's going to stop? He got to the driver, he was like, still, should I give it to him or should I give it back? And then he told him, he gave me more change. And then he gave it back to him, and then the driver said, I tested you. I deliberately gave you more change. Islam. I wanted to see the leader of, and he was very come and take my shahada. It said when he got out of the bus, he had to hold a pole because his knees couldn't carry him. He said, I nearly sold Islam because of a corner. What is your relationship with other people, non-Muslims and Muslims alike? How well is the Quran manifest in your life? We've moved from listening, we saw reading the Quran, we saw pondering over the Quran, and then now we need to work with the Quran. Before the Quran intercedes for us on the day of Qiyamah, before our lives are illuminated with the Quran, we need to have a personal relationship with the Quran. We need to implement what we read in the Quran. Abi Abdul Rahman al-Sulami says that Uthman bin Affan and the Sahaba who taught us the Quran used to tell us that they never go beyond 10 verses. Until they read it, they its message before they move to the next 10 verses. So my message to us today is, the Quran is our guide. The Quran is our compass. The Quran is what is going to lead us to Jannah. If as Muslims, we really want to make a difference, same way our forefathers 1,000 years ago were the forebearers of civilization and progress in the dunya, we should also hold to the Quran. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم.
جزاك الله خير.
Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We'll make the adhan shortly, and after that we'll make the iqama right away, so that as close as possible to the time. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. I really appreciate every single thing that you mentioned in this lecture. And this lecture cannot be more timely to the time we're in. How many days left for Ramadan? How many? 13? Is there anyone who says otherwise? 12, 11, 12. So we will depend on the mood. It will be more silent, but it could be around that. So I wanted to ask, and last year I had mentioned to a group of youth, this Ramadan, may I have your attention? Oh, you cannot hit someone in the masjid while we are talking about Quran and the manners of the Quran. Please. Okay, just give me 1 second. We'll pray Isha, and then the Sheikh will be here for a few more minutes for your questions, inshallah. So I was telling, let's put a challenge this Ramadan. Just try to memorize one ayah, only, or know how to read it, and then learn the meaning. One ayah every single day. That's it. And just like the Sheikh was saying, Wallahi, I have seen youth who are like with this big, big. What is in it? They're reading about Shakespeare. I'm okay if you're reading about it. But now when you open the Quran, they cannot even read the first line in the Quran. Where is our priorities? No, this is not to put anyone down, but we have to have sense of urgency. Every day, one ayah until next year, you have 365 ayahs. The following years, you add another 365 ayahs. That's almost 800 ayahs. This is how it adds up. And this is how we learn the Quran. And I wanted to mention a comment that most of the time, we want our kids to be hufaz. I have seen people who have memorized the Quran and they left Islam. Yeah, hafiz, left Islam. Why? Because كَمَثَلِ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. We tend to, I want my child to be hafiz. Okay, let's impact their life. If they memorize the Quran, and the Quran absolutely has zero impact on the Quran in their heart. And wallahi, the person could memorize the Quran, and I'm not judging anyone. They memorize the Quran and they listen to music instead of Quran. So what the Sheikh finished with is especially important. Having the Quran to have impact in your life is essential. And I will finish with these two stories. Group of young men, they were driving, music is blasting, and they fell into accident, the car flipped. You know what happened? The blood is shedding and the music was playing and they were dead. And look, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but please be mindful. You know, when you are listening to that and you wake up in the day of judgment and you are singing that music, make a choice. The second thing that I would like to tell you, and I wanted to highlight the blessing that we've had the last few days and we've been having, the comfort, brothers and sisters. Probably most of you do not know that this masjid is founded by those who embrace Islam, not those who were born into Islam. And then of course, immigrants come in, together, alhamdulillah, they decided to grow the community, and this is what we have. For those who go to MTI, the same four sisters who embrace Islam, they are the ones who started this school. Why am I mentioning this? There was a young man who actually came to the masjid and he said, I am interested in Islam, but I'm not ready to take my shahada. I gave him the mushaf. He said, I want mushaf. I gave him mushaf in English. He went, it took him about a month. He finished the entire Quran. 1 month. He read the entire Quran and he came to me and he said, I'm ready to take my shahada. Another man, he read half of the Quran before he was Muslim, and then he finished in 6 months. So if the Quran can change the life of someone who is not Muslim, why isn't the Quran not changing our lives as Muslims to be better Muslims? Is it the Quran is not doing its job? No, we are not doing our job towards the Quran. So please, let's take this lecture as a beginning. Have intention that inshallah this Ramadan, it is anyway Ramadan is the month of Quran. So make sure you make truly this month, this year's Ramadan, the Ramadan of the Quran. And Sheikh Ali, wallahi, he is here most of the days between Maghrib and Isha, sitting in the masjid, waiting for someone to come so that he can teach the Quran. Almost every single day. He works 8 hours in school. He would go home, come back, lead the prayer, sit here, waiting on someone to come and say, come so I can listen to you. And nobody's here. He would sit by himself here, Allah. It's not that we don't have people. You're coming here because of what? Suhbah? Wallahi, I would rather for you not to come for the suhbah wala man yahzanun and come to learn Quran on the days the Shaykh is here. Wallahi, it's bad. Wallahi. The suhbah is not social club. I appreciate you coming. But let's make suhbah as a gas station. I'm not saying go and buy candy, but gas station to fuel yourself for the next week. So when the Sheikh Ali is here, you will use that opportunity to learn from him. So in Ramadan, we'll have 2 programs. I mean, it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday. Friday and Saturday, from Asr to Maghrib. Sheikh Ali will be sitting here, waiting on you to come up. If you wanted to memorize the Quran, he will help you. If you wanted to learn, you don't know how to read the Quran, he will help you. Are we going to make use out of this? Inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. We will pray inshallah Isha. And then after that, inshallah, the Shaykh will be here for a few more minutes. Inshallah. Hands were raised to ask questions. And I wanted to thank, first of all, I wanted to thank everyone who attended this session. I appreciate it. There are some people who come from Zionsville. I'm Ali. Thank you for honoring us. You know where is Zionsville? It's not in Israel or Palestine. No. Zionsville is right next to here. So he actually came from Zionsville to listen to join us in the lecture. We appreciate everyone who joined us tonight. May Allah Azza wa Jalla reward you and bless you.